Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something pretty serious. The United Nations just put out a warning about Pakistan that you don't see every day, suggesting the country is heading for a major crisis. So we're going to break down what's really going on and why this matters to everyone. All right, so here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off with that alarming statement from the UN. Then we'll look at the legal changes that are making this happen. From there, we'll explore the real threat to democracy, get a feel for why people are so angry, and wrap it all up with a pretty chilling look at where this could all be going. So first, let's talk about the trigger for all of this. It's a direct and, frankly, unusually blunt warning from the United Nations about the state of play inside Pakistan. You know, the UN is usually all about that careful diplomatic language. So when you see them using phrases like seriously undermine and grave concerns, you got to sit up and pay attention. That's basically a five-alarm fire in diplomat speak. Something is going very, very wrong. And what the UN is really worried about here isn't just some legal paperwork. They see these moves as setting the stage for a massive power shift. We're talking, effectively, a complete military takeover. For a nation that's had such a rocky history with military rule, this isn't just a step back. It's like trying to undo decades of hard-won, if fragile, democratic progress. So the big question is, how are they pulling this off? Well, it's happening by fundamentally rewriting the country's most important legal documents, all designed to move power into the hands of a select few. Look, the game plan here is actually pretty simple, even if it's alarming. They're pushing through specific changes to the Constitution with a single goal in mind: to gut the power of the independent courts and hand that power over to the military and the executive. And this right here shows you the immediate fallout. The judiciary, the one institution that's supposed to be a check on government power, is now in danger of becoming a tool of that very same power. Its whole reason for existing is being flipped on its head. Okay, so what actually happens when you start chipping away at a country's legal foundations? This is the point where the threat to democracy gets very, very real. To really get the stakes here, we have to talk about the rule of law. It sounds kind of academic, but it's simple. It's the idea that nobody, not you, not me, not a general, not a president, is above the law. The minute that idea starts to crumble, the entire system is at risk. Think about it. With courts that are no longer truly independent, who's going to hold the military accountable? If the courts can't or won't, the answer is simple: nobody. And that's how you get an institution that operates completely outside the law. And this is exactly why the UN is so concerned. The damage being done isn't just a temporary political issue. These actions could have huge, long-lasting effects on democracy in Pakistan, creating a mess that could be almost impossible to clean up. Now, it's super important to remember this isn't just some abstract political game. These power grabs at the top have a real and growing effect on the everyday lives of millions of people across Pakistan. What you have brewing here is basically a perfect storm. The population is getting slammed from two directions at once: a brutal economic crisis that's making life unbearable, and the feeling that their democratic power to do anything about it is being stolen from them. You can really see the problem clearly here. As the economic pain people are feeling goes way up, the peaceful, democratic ways to fix things are going way down. I mean, these two lines are heading for a serious collision. And that gets us to the most critical point. In a functioning democracy, the safety valve for when people get angry is the voting booth. You vote the bums out, right? But what happens when people start to believe that voting is pointless, that the real power is held by an unelected, unaccountable military? Well, that safety valve gets sealed shut. So all of this brings us to a final, really potent warning about where Pakistan could be headed if things keep going down this path. It's a scenario that's all about building pressure with no release. This is the question that everything boils down to. When an entire population is hurting, and they feel like they have no voice, no way to peacefully make a change, where does all of that anger and frustration go? Well, the answer is unsettling. When people feel like they've run out of options, that the system is completely stacked against them, the chances of mass unrest, even revolution, start to go way up. It starts to look like one of the only choices left. And that leaves us with this one final, powerful image: a nation that feels like a pressure cooker. The heat is being turned up, the pressure is building, and that all-important safety valve has just been welded shut. The question, it seems, is no longer if it's going to explode, But when?